There's a lot of interesting aspects to that. The first one is the capacity to go faster. We have a challenge to improve the pace, the rhythm, the number of building retrofit every year. So instead of installing small bricks, having big walls we could install with this prefab system is very key in order to scale up, because we have a problem of speed to develop. So this is the first point. Another thing is we know it's challenging works, heavy things to lift when you're working in works, and actually there's less than 10% women working to retrofit house. We cannot left half of the humanity helping us to deliver that challenge. So whereas it's a lot more easier to have women working into factories to prefab elements. So the big advantage is this ability to be faster delivered, to integrate a wider workforce. And another one is the limitation of the intrusivity of the works, because as you deliver faster, you can still remain in your flat, or kids can remain in the schools when the retrofit is done because it's so fast. So this is really great in the positive advantage it has. Then there's things which are uncommon for market players. So more than disadvantage, it's seen as something unusual. So people sometimes are puzzled, how do I deal with it? Because they are just not used to it. So for sure, if you try to retrofit the way you would do the past 20 years, I know how to do it. When with this new solution, they tend to say, I don't know how to use it. Well, so this is definitely something that could be worked on. And at first, it's more expensive. But that's the beginning. I mean, the first core was very expensive, but then after doing millions, that was less expensive. So first project with prefab solution are more expensive upfront, but in the near future, if we dare to go fast enough in matter of volumes and to have more and more and more, what can be seen as a disadvantage today is going to be an asset tomorrow. This is a massive potential. There's a lot of building we built in Europe post-war, connecting them to fossil fuel. Now it's it's end of cycle for those buildings, and we have to rebuild or to retrofit them. So what's for sure is not historical buildings from the 18th century. We're going to use prefab facade to retrofit them. There's architectural heritage building that we need to preserve the way they are. But the reality, there's a lot of buildings, not in city center, rather in suburbs, in small house that were built all the same in the 70s, in the 60s, in the 50s, that for sure they are crazy potential. In France, which is just an example, and order of magnitude are probably the same at EU level, that's about 50% of building that can retrofit with this prefab method. And doing that, you can go net zero in these buildings, which are quite simple architecture, that could deliver 70% of the climate impact we need to deliver. At a macro level, we're talking, in France, 14 million of buildings that could be delivered that way out of 27 million to be retrofitted. So quite a massive potential. So this is kind of macro market for this solution. And there's another topic. It is the important challenge that is for EU. So it is key to develop such an industry for Europe for different reasons. The first one is this going to be needed. We have to stop emptying oceans with spoons. At some point, it cannot be every problem we solve it with industrial solution, but for buildings. Buildings are 40% of EU emissions and 36% of EU energy consumption. For sure, on that topic, we need to go faster with easy to replicate solution, especially in a topic where there's no climate solution with a stronger social positive impact or a better climate adaptation potential. The problem is a way to think things which is underlooked global policies. Because people tend to think, okay, we have short-term, warmer clothes or sensors, which is okay. Then you think very long-term, we have hydrogen carbon storage. Yeah, new industry for maybe more than 10 years is going to be available. But nobody thinks about how to scale this mid-term solution. Insulating homes, it could be dealt in the next 2 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 10 years. So basically that's mid-term solution. And industrialization of mid-term solution is very key. Having twice cheaper deep energy retrofit through prefab method is such a key and major industrial challenge that we have to consider to be a top priority for EU. And if we don't, what's going to happen? It's going to happen that other continents will develop such solution. We've seen recently that in off-site manufactured buildings, standardization is led by China tomorrow. I mean, we've seen what happened in other industry like electric cars, solar panels. So do we want to be lazy about thinking industrial methods for deep energy retrofit and wait for other continents to provide their solutions, or to develop themselves and be leader for the world for this kind of solution? This is our challenge today. They do collaborate very well if people and professionals are smart enough to consider that they have to put behind them their ego if we want to go net zero. Because the thing is basically the change of habits working with these solutions. But the thing is, our current habits lead us to a world with +6 degrees. So we cannot live in a world +6 degrees. So we have to change our habits. So it's really different thinking. It's really going from Lego to Duplo. Basically, you're playing with bigger piece of equipment, but it can lead to impressive project delivery. So basically, there's a room in the world of tomorrow in traditional methods, especially for heritage building, or for building which have an architectural complexity that won't be able to deliver with plain prefab facade. But basically, they're in the world we need to do 4 times more retrofits, 4 times more efficient. A lot of work ahead, and we have 30% of the workforce that are going to go into retirement in the 10 years to come. Basically, professionals are going to need to be superhero. They are going to be less, and there's a lot more to be delivered. So for sure, if there are simple buildings for which prefab solution can do the job, we definitely have to accelerate that. And what's also interesting, how it's going to cohabitate, because it's different building, different methods. It's not like they're building that you can do 0% industrial methods and other 100% industrial method. They also a mix. Without this kind of solutions, we won't make the job of going fast enough to the climate target we have. But the challenge is every professional has to think differently, learn how to use these new tools. And we're in a value chain that have been in history able to integrate innovation. There are some barriers for sure. This is not the way we used to do. So innovations comes to an unprepared world. So there's among this barrier, the first one is a financial barrier, because we have solutions which upfront cost are more important than traditional methods. So you have a very good value in a total cost of ownership if you're thinking long term, but that is more expensive at first. You need to rethink your economics, because you have net zero buildings, you're going to have no energy bills in the future, but higher upfront investment. So there's a lot of economic model, business model, and also entire economics of people or organization that own house that have to be changed. So this is very much needed. Second thing is also mental shift barrier to be changed in professional, and because that's different way to proceed, and this is very needed, that they do consider that methods from yesterday might not be the way to solve problem we have to face today. Then there's also a very important market barrier, which is the fact that in EU we have a single market for diesel engine, for pesticides. We don't have a market, unified market and single market for deep energy retrofit solution. This is mostly regulated at national level, and basically I cannot buy a prefab wall in the Netherlands, install it in my house in France and get the insurance for it. So basically nobody does it. So it's a nonsense that impressive innovation taking place in other EU countries cannot be imported and used to be delivered. I mean, we need climate solutions to be spread easily with one single certification for sure, but I mean, there's good reason for national certification in the past. fire safety. I mean, we don't want to burn into a house because of fire. But I mean, the fire in Germany is not different from the fire in France. So at some point, we need to have a common standard in order to work and support that. Then there's another barrier to be integrated, which is the fact it is an organizational barrier. What I mean by that is basically to solve climate issues in different various sectors depend in the methods to do it to the number of stakeholders. How many citizens own the house? How many individual companies with one plumbers or one architect are there in the EU? Millions. So the challenge is how to have the right policy to organize the move when you have millions of stakeholders. And it has to come with innovative public policy. And one of them that we're working with in this EnergieSprong Global Alliance is market development teams. How to develop new standards, to have new common methods, not to have everyone reinventing the wheel. Because if reinventing the wheels a million times, we won't be able to make more affordable. At some point, we have to reproduce standards. The last barrier we have to overcome is the dreamy barrier. Basically, who dreams he want to be a building retrofit guy? I mean, we have one electric plane in the world. That's solar impulse. Everybody heard about Bertrand Piccard delivering that round of her tour of the planet. Impressive. In Europe, we have currently 10,000, that's a beginning, 10,000 net zero retrofit homes. That's 10,000 more than we have electric planes. So, but we don't speak about it in the right way. We have electric Formula race. People dream they want to drive an electric car. Some people in some industry have this ability to make a dream of the project we want to go. And the big challenge, we want people to commit to climate, to dream, to want to work for this is what of 40% of EU climate problem. And we want talent to jump into industry with their creativity, their appetite, and their will to change.